Contingent delegated legislation, meaning and concept. Contingent delegated legislation arises when the legislature, while enacting a law, cannot foresee or determine all the circumstances or situations in which the law may have to operate. The need for contingent delegated legislation arises particularly where circumstances are uncertain, unforeseen, or liable to change. It enables the government to respond effectively to situations which could not have been fully anticipated by Parliament at the time of enacting the legislation. Nature of contingent delegated legislation. Conditional operation of law. In this type of delegated legislation, the legislature does not necessarily delegate its essential legislative function. Instead, it authorizes the executive to determine the existence of a particular condition or contingency upon which the legislative provision will become applicable. The executive therefore acts when the specified conditions arise and gives effect to the legislative policy already determined by Parliament. Need for flexibility. Modern government frequently faces situations which cannot be predicted with certainty. It may therefore be impractical for Parliament to specify every possible circumstances in the legislation itself. Contingent delegation provides the necessary flexibility to deal with such unforeseen circumstances while retaining the basic legislative framework. Indian Tariff Act 1934. The Indian Tariff Act 1934 is cited as an example of contingent delegated legislation. Under the Act, the government was authorized, upon making the prescribed declaration and satisfying the required conditions, to impose certain customs duties or taxes. Thus, the operation of the delegated power depended upon the occurrence of specified circumstances and the making of the required declaration by the government. Post independence legislation continued use. The practice of contingent delegation did not end with independence. Various Indian statutes enacted after independence have also conferred powers upon the government to take specified legislative or regulatory measures when particular conditions arise. Such delegation is useful where the legislature cannot reasonably predict all future circumstances but wishes to provide a legal mechanism for responding to them. Conclusion. Contingent delegated legislation is a form of delegation in which the legislature authorizes the executive to determine when or under what circumstances a statutory provision should become operative. It is particularly useful in dealing with uncertain and unforeseen situations. The Indian Tariff Act 1934 is a classic example. Such delegation provides flexibility to the administration while allowing the legislature to retain control over the basic policy and framework of the law.